I'm Jennifer and this is Emily and I'm the designer of Porcelynne, and today we are going to be doing the Jackie sports bra with the Kristen tank with a full zip down all the way through the front. So this is it. So it looked to me, Emily thinks it looks like the 4th of July. I think this looks like Captain Marvel or Captain America or one of them. This is actually not white, this is silver, but I thought this would be fun. So this has a full zipper going top to bottom with a full shield behind it. It is completely clean finished on the outside and on the inside. So no seams to rub. This is really kind of designed to be worn for more shaping. So it will be a little bit firmer because the entire thing is lined. So the whole top's lined and the bottom's lined. So you can wear this as like shapewear, or you can just wear it as like a fitted athletic top. It's really up to you. And if you want to make it a little bit more snug around the hips, you can always grade between the sizes. So there we go. Yep, we got the tab, we got the zipper. Cool. It's very cool, huh? Looks nice. Okay. Hope you enjoy the video. So if you're going to be doing the full zipper that goes from the top of the sports bra down to the hem of the tank, you'll be using the shield. Now the shield is not something that is really you can use right out of the box. So I'm going to show you a couple alterations we have to do to the pattern. Now this works with both the Tankini and the Kristen. So both of the tank add-ons this will work for. So the first thing we need to understand is that there is 3/4 inch seam allowance at the bottom of this garment. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to draw this back in. Where is it? Okay. So I'm going to draw the 3/4 inch at the bottom, just so we have kind of a placeholder. I'm also going to mark at the very top. We have a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, so that's 10 millimeters or a centimeter. However you want to do it. So I'm just going to mark right here at 3/8 of an inch. And then I'm also going to do that right here. Actually, so right there. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I am just going to kind of line these right up, and I'm just, so I'll put a piece of tape, but I don't have a piece of tape in front of me. So I'm going to pin that right there. So we actually know that this shield needs to be as long as this. So we actually have to extend this. So you could use the existing shield that's for the Jackie, but you don't have to. So the way this is that at the very bottom, this folds up. Oh, you don't buy me a piece of tape. Thank you, sweetie. Okay, so at the very bottom, this folds up. So it's kind of folded in half, and then it folds up to be at the tab. Now this fold line, it's going to fold right here. So right at this seam line. I don't need another piece of tape, sweetie. Oh, not yet. I will. You can bring the whole tape back over here. So there's a few things we need to consider. This is what we're going to say is at the bottom. So this one is going to be lined up right here, and this has a seam allowance at the top. I'm like, why is this so complicated? Well, I couldn't really do just a simple shield because of the complexity and the size range of the top. So this is a little different. So what I've done is I've now marked where this comes to here. And all we need to really do is add enough top to line up to the top piece. So I'm just stick a piece of tape. You got that tape there? Thank you, sweetie. And I'm just going to take and I'm going to extend these lines up. Get this side. So kind of making sure that they're square. And then I'm just going to make sure I'm going to line that up right to that seam. And then at the very top, I'm just going to mark right there. Take that across. And that is my full shield. So now I can just take, let me get a piece of tape for the back. Thank you, baby. That's really small pieces of tape. Can you give me another one? You don't need to give me, yeah. It's like, Thank you, you're very helpful. And I may need a second one on this one. So then I'm just gonna cut this up, and so now my shield for the entire tank is ready. Now this will vary, this length will vary depending on the cup size and the band size. So this is really kind of customizing it to kind of just extend this pattern and make it a little bit more usable. Okay, so now we can prepare this. Now at the bottom on here, what we want to do is, because we've been sewing everything at 3/8 of an inch, I don't want us to get a little confused here. I want us to change this down here to that 3/8 of an inch, the 10 millimeters. So I'm just going to take and draw that in, and I'm going to cut this off. So for the pocket tank, we don't have to worry about altering the side pattern. If for the Kristen tank, we will actually need to alter the patterns on the other front pattern pieces to all be the same as this. I'm stuck. Can you move it? It's stuck on the, thank you. Okay. And that's how we alter the front to be used using a shield. So I'm starting with a 24-inch zipper for the full zip down, and we need to figure out exactly where we need to shorten it. So I have my altered shield pattern, and so what I want to do is I'm going to come down here at the bottom where this little V is, and I'm going to mark 1/4 of an inch from the point of that V, and then that, so if we were to take, and we can just kind of square a line straight across, this is where the bottom of the front is, and this is where the top of the front is. So if we were to take our zipper and go from end to end, well, this is about where we need it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and we're going to be shortening our zipper. So I'm actually going to take and shorten it. Let me move. Actually, let me mark it on here. So with it on here, so with that line to that line and up here, I'm going to take and I'm going to mark the top of this. So this is the absolute longest this zipper can be. Now when we actually sew it, we'll probably try and have it so there's a little bit of space at the bottom, but we have a little bit of room to play. So now I've got that. So I'm going to take and come in here and cut at that point, kind of at that tooth. And then what we want to do is we want to remove at least 1/2 inch, probably closer to about 5/8 of an inch, about 15 millimeters. So on this is a number 5 zipper, so we can remove 5 of the teeth. And I would recommend the plastic molded teeth as opposed to the spiral. So I'm going to cut off 5. I'm just going to cut the tips off first. And I'm just using some little cutters. Now we got to be careful taking these off. Sometimes, and look, they'll just pop right off. The rest of it will pop right off on the one side. And see, that popped off beautifully. Okay, so on this side, I'm going to take and I'm going to cut off 5 as well. So do that so I have a better.
You might want to wear safety goggles too.
Well, I've got glasses on, so those are my safety goggles. So yes, probably take care of your eyes. Okay, so I got 5 of the tips cut off. Let's see if I can pop the rest of those pieces off. Oh, yeah, beautiful. Sometimes they come off a little bit easier. No, sometimes they come off easier than others. My daughter's trying to give a little commentary over here. Okay, oh. And we want to get these off because we don't want to be sewing through them and causing any problems. So, look, okay, all are off. Now my table's a mess. So now you want to get a couple zipper stops. And I actually got a huge batch of these. And if you get any of the kits with the zippers from me, I'll give you 2 of the zipper stops. So what we need, this is a little jewelry kit of supplies. So I'll probably just use these ones. So, sometimes take takes 2 hands to do it. So right above where we removed all the teeth, I can then take and pinch over the edge, and then you can see it actually stopped it. And I'll do one over here. I can't hold on to them. That's the problem.
They look very tiny.
They are pretty tiny. But these are the number 5, so. Okay, and then I got that one there. So we are stopped. Zipper stops. Okay, now we are ready. For the zipper construction for this particular tank, we are going to be assembling the entire top outside piece together and the entire lining of the top together. So once you have these two together, and you can use any of the sports bras, then we're going to work on connecting these pieces. So we're going to be pinning these together. Okay, now that I've got all my front pieces for the bottom pinned together, I'm going to go sew these, and then we'll come back over here to pin the back. That way there's just not too many pins all over the place. Okay, so I've got my fronts, get them lined up. It's the lining. Oop. Goes there. Always double check to make sure you have a right and a left so you're not accidentally sewing things that you shouldn't. Okay, set those to the side for a moment. Okay, and then this one is over here. And then there we go. Okay, I'm going to work on pinning these ones together so then we can attach the front to the back. Okay, now that I've got the entire bottoms pinned together, I'm going to go ahead and finish these up so we can then work on attaching the top to the bottom. Okay, so now the whole bottom is put together. And now we're going to put the top to the bottom. Now, because we have these really brightly colored panels, we want to be careful that we can line up our seams. And so we're going to be real careful, and what I might recommend is that you actually go in and kind of right where you're going to be stitching at that seam allowance. You put a pin there and you flip it up to make sure that that lines up. So I'm going to do that at each of these seams. Okay, so I've got this one lined up. The lining I'm not going to be as particular about. So what I would really recommend doing is going in and just doing a quick basting stitch across this waistline to make sure the seam lines all line up. And then once you're sure about that, then take it over to the overlock. Okay, so I've got my waistlines all pinned together. I'm going to go attach those, and then we'll be right back for the shield. Now I've got the two different layers, and I did base this so I could get the seams lined up. I had to kind of fix it a couple times up here in the front, but in general, I'm really happy, very happy with the way it ends up looking. Okay, so the next things we want to deal with are the shield, the tab, and how to attach these to the garment. So let's set this aside for a moment. Now this one, with the right side together, we're going to fold it, and then we're going to sew this little seam right here. Now this really should be interfaced to help stiffen it up. Mine is going to flop a little bit. Because I don't have interfacing. And looking at this one, we need to fold this bit so the right side is facing each other, and we're going to sew this little bit, this little angle right here. Okay, so those two pieces we need to sew, and those are at 1/4 of an inch, or about 6 millimeters. Okay, now with the right sides together, I'm going to line these up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach both of them at the bottom. Now, the seam allowance on the bottom is 3/4 of an inch. And in the video when we were talking about this, I had us actually altering the pattern in the front for that 3/8 of an inch. Well, I forgot to do all that with this, so we really need to be removing, we need to remove 3/8 of an inch off of the bottom, so we actually have that seam allowance at 3/8. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to pin them together. We do want to try and line them up. And where's my pins? So I'm actually going to put my pins a little bit above. So just lining them up. So that way I can just go in and trim off that extra. All right, so used to pinning it a certain way. So I'm lining up my seams at the bottom. seam allowance is all trimmed. Of course, that is not very straight right there. Okay, now I'm going to sew the hems together. And I'm going to sew the tab and the shield on those two little seams, and I'll be right back. Okay, now, so what we're looking at, we're going to look at this side of the garment, and yes, it's in one big giant piece now. We're going to take and flip this piece, try to trim it, flip it over, and then we are going to sew like this. So kind of take this piece here is going to get lined up to the front right here at the top. And then when it opens up, we'll have the tab like that. We're going to be sewing this at 3/8 of an inch. Now, because we know we need the shield and the tab on the same side, well, we're going to flip this one. So we got to attach it to the other end. So stick a pin in there right now to just kind of hold that shape. We know that's at the bottom. And this, with the wrong sides pinned together. So we have the right side facing out. So we can throw a couple pins in here to keep it. And again, this one would be much better if it was interfaced, because it can stretch. And then what we're going to do with this is we're going to take the right side and pin it to the right side of the lining. So yes, this is the side that the tab is on and the whole front is attached. So we're going to line up so all three edges pretty much line up. Do that center. Then you're going to keep pinning all the way down. Making sure you're not stretching either of the fabrics. And I think I may have stretched the fabric. Let's see. We may have to ease some stuff in. So we keep going down, going down. Nope, it's perfect. Okay. Oh, well, actually, it's a little bit loose. Okay, so this little corner right here should be kind of lined up right to where the seam is of the two. And so we may have to do a little bit easing to get it all the way in. I think I have something folded underneath. It shouldn't be there. Yeah. Okay. So this is going to go onto the red side. So what we need to do is we need to sew this down. And we can overlock this if you want. I'll probably end up going in, I'll just sew it with a straight stitch. And actually you can see it's puckering here. So let's move it down. That's probably why it's a little bit tight at the bottom. It's almost better if it hangs a little bit more onto the other piece. So I can scoot that down just a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to sew this piece right here at 3/8. And actually I'm going to do this with a straight stitch. So 3/8 here and 3/8 here. And now we're ready to apply the zipper. So we're looking at the center front. So much fabric right here. Hopefully it won't fall off. So we have our tab right here and we have this one here. So we're just going to fold these back right now. Okay, what I have done is I'm just going to stick a pin on the right side of the zipper for the other side so I don't forget what I'm doing. And then this is going to go like this. Before I do that, I'm going to fold this corner down. Doesn't matter if it's going forward or going back. And then I'm going to start pinning and lining this up right about where the top of, right about where that seam is. So you can kind of see where it is. I might do it just like a hair above, and then I'm just going to pin it right along the edge over here. Now we got to be real careful we don't stretch when we sew the zipper in. So it might be easier if you sew with a stabilizer underneath it, or you can add a piece of interfacing to this little bit, or we sew it so the stretchy is up. It depends on kind of how your machine behaves. We don't want it to be, well, we don't want it to stretch. And sometimes the feed dogs will stretch it, and sometimes the feet themselves stretch it. So let me cut that. And this goes straight up here. Okay. And so it should end a little bit. So the very, very tip where it's fraying now can be all the way at the top, just because how we measured it. So I'm going to take with my zipper foot and we're going to sew this whole piece down. Let's also get the other side lined up. I know this is a big giant mess. Might as well do it all in one shot. Okay, so we can kind of see this. It's on top of here. So we know that this is the right side, right? So we can fold this down to the side, just kind of at 45-degree angle. Or kind of the, so this is a 45-degree angle. This is like a 90-degree. Okay. Then we're going to be able to pin this. So we're going to do it right side together and we can pin this. Now, this next bit is really kind of tricky. So we want to make sure that where this lines up, so we can go ahead, and I know we haven't sewn it yet, but we can take it, pin it, because we want this seam right here to be in the same spot, like in the right spot. So if I take, we know that this is right this. Okay, I'm going to pin this right here. I'm going to zip that back up and see where it's going to be. And that looks like that's going to be pretty even. So this is really kind of the major piece we want to worry about. So now that we've got that piece all ready, come on, get separate. Then we can take and pin this piece in. So. And we just got to be real careful that we don't stretch, because this elastic loves to, or this fabric loves to stretch. Okay. And then we'll have that come all the way up to the top. And so I'm going to take with my zipper foot, I'm going to sew this one and the other one, and then we'll be back so we can clean up and finish the neckline. Now that the zipper's in, we are almost completely done. And I'm just going to double check. This looks fabulous to me. It could have been, up a little bit on this side, but in fact, I'm just very, very happy with this. So now I'm going to take the whole thing. I'm going to take the whole thing and I'm going to fold it so it's right sides together so we can find our necklines. Okay, so now is a point where you're going to probably follow the instructions of the specific sports bra that you're actually making this from. And Emily, can you go grab my pins from the table over there? Okay, I have a couple pins over here. I keep leaving them over there. And so I'm just lining up my necklines together. So the zipper part's open. Please do this with the zipper open. If you don't, you will not be able to pull this right side out. Hi, princess. Okay, for this one, I am actually using the Christina strap. So I'm going to end up, once I get my front neckline, I'm going to attach that so then we can do the armhole. The rest of these steps for the neckline are really the same as you would be doing for any of the sports bras. Now this part here, where the tab and the shield are, is really the only thing I need to kind of go over with you. That's new. So we've got the shield and we've got the tab. We're going to take and we're going to line them up, and they need to line up edge to edge. So this outside edge, and I am going to go in, I'm going to straight stitch this little bit right here so it doesn't move, because every time I do this it moves on me and I end up having something looking a little bit funny. So I'm going to just kind of stitch right over here with a straight stitch, and then just complete the neckline per the sports bra that you're working on, and do the whatever strap you want. Now with this finishing, you'll be able to do a completely clean finished neckline because you can pull everything through the front zippers. So, you know, continue working, and I'm going to get this center back. We can add our elastic to our neckline. And so I will finish this bit up, finish up my neckline and my straps, and then we'll come back so we can finish up the zipper closure, because all we got to do is a little bit of top stitching now, and we will be done. Okay, so I'm just going to clean up any loose threads that are on the inside. So I completely clean finished the neckline, got my strap sandwiched in there. Always double check, pull it right side out to make sure that it's actually going to go correctly. Now note that this construction does not work for the one that goes pull over the head, because this way we have an opening so we can clean finish all of the edges really nicely. Okay, get the threads here. This is for my basting stitch that I did. There you go. Little threads all over the place. Okay, so once you're pretty confident that you've gotten everything clipped, you can pull it all right side out. Okay. Get off my table. I'm just going to take one quick look on the inside. Oop, what's that? Oh, that's on the end. I get that. Okay, that side looks pretty good. This side looks pretty good. Okay, pull it right side out through one of the zipper openings. So now it looks like one big giant garment. I got some of my basting stitches. I can pull that out later though. Okay, so we've got the zipper parts to close up. Something we can do as well, if you want to add elastic to the waistline, you would want to go ahead and add it now before we close it up. We don't necessarily need elastic on here. Another thing we can do is, so kind of like we're not completely, well, what I would say is, if you would like, you can actually go in and tack your seam allowances together in a few places. So if you want to, we can kind of, you know, so that way it doesn't shift around too much. So if you want, you can like go here, so we can tack it here, tack it here, tack it here, anywhere you want to. I'm not going to do that for the sake of this sample. It'll probably fit fine, probably be fine, who knows, maybe, maybe not. Okay, so we're gonna look at the side of the zipper that does not have the shield. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold the black fabric in by 3/8 of an inch. So kind of fold it in so it'd be kind of hidden. So just fold it in, pin it all the way up. Up to the top. Emily, please stop singing Christmas music. I'm doing a video, remember? Did you already forget? Okay, so here, we're just gonna try and tuck in that seam right there. And once we've got that folded in, I wanna take and pin pin the fabric down with the fold against this zipper on the inside. All the way down to the bottom. Now I can definitely see that I had my lining may have been cut a little bit big. I'm not so worried about this at the bottom. If it's really bothering you, what you could do is you could go back in before we close it up and just kind of take in a little bit from the hem. So I'm going to now put the pins on this side on the tape itself. So kind of moving, oops, sorry, I'm off the screen. It just slid down on me. So I'm actually removing the pins, putting it on the tape because we're going to stitch in the ditch. So all the way up to the top, we're going to stitch in the ditch on this side. And I said everything at this point, we're completely closing it up. Okay. Looking at this side. And now all we have to kind of do is let's fold it at the top, kind of line it up. And then we're going to also be stitching in the ditch along the tape. So trying to line this up, making sure it's nice and even. And it looks like we got a little bit of rolling over at this end too. I'm not too worried about it. What you could do is you could always come back in and just kind of do a little zigzag stitch on the bottom. I'm fine with it looking more like a little bubble, at least for right now. I may decide after I wear this that I want to stitch the seam allowance, stitch the seam down so it's less bubble-like and more kind of flat seamed. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stitch in the ditch on both sides of the zipper, and then we will convene to show the finished garment. Okay, so it's all done. So to get it zipped, we can flip this that way. I'll pull up and flip that back over. So we're going to shove all that inside so we have that covered. Then up to the top so we have that covered. I have, looks like I did not do a very good job on my straps. I think I sewed them on in the wrong order, but here is my finished tank. Clean finishes on the outside, seams lining up. Clean finish on the outside. Taking a look at the inside. We have our shield, so completely clean finish, so there no rubbing of any raw seams anywhere at all. It's 100% clean finished.